Hi, we're going to do a very quick November reading check-in. Hi, I'm Colleen. If you're new here, I talk about books and writing. I don't usually do mid-month reading check-ins, but I'm doing one this month because I find myself in a very weird place. It's more than halfway done with November. I've only finished one book. I have written an entire book. And so I am going to finish this video and I'm going to write the epilogue of this book I just finished writing, which is an amazing feeling. But I'm in the middle of so many books that I thought to motivate myself, because I'm going to give myself like 2 days off after I finish writing this book before I have to work on a different project. I want to finish at least 2 of these books in those 2 days. So I just want to tell you about what I am reading and how I'm feeling about it and how it's going. And not being finished with any of these books has nothing to do with how I feel about the books. It's just particularly how life is going right now. And I'll explain this. I think I'm going to like all these books. So one book I definitely want to finish is The Witch and the Tsar by Olesa Selenikova Gilmore. Every time I say her name, I just feel awful because I know I'm saying it wrong. I'm on page 323 out of 399. So I'm very close to being done. Here's what I've been doing with this book and why it's been taking me so long. One of my daughters has to read the longest book she's ever read for a book report. And she's so on the struggle bus about it. Just because it feels so daunting to her to finish this book. I think it's like 200 pages. And so, she's 9. It's hard to read a book that long. And what I've been doing is we've been reading together for 30 minutes before she goes to bed every night. And I said I will only read this book when she's reading. So honestly, I pause constantly because she'll be like, how do you say this word? She'll get distracted. She'll want to leave. So I'm not getting like a solid 30 minutes of reading every night. I'm getting, maybe 10. And so I'm really hopeful. She needs to finish reading this book by this Thursday night so she can do her book report over the weekend. And so I'm hopeful that I will finish this book by Thursday night, fingers crossed. And if I don't finish it when she finishes her book, then I can obviously finish it this weekend. But this is a really interesting book that takes place over decades in Russia during the reign of Ivan the Terrible. Our narrator is Yaga, aka Baba Yaga, who is a half-god immortal healer. And we're following her through different points of her life because it is such a long period of time. We've kind of gone through different groups of friends where she's trying to sort of fight against Ivan the Terrible and the gods who are backing him. It's very wintry, very Russia wintry. So because I've been reading that, I decided once I finished my other book, which I'll talk about in my wrap up, to start The Lightbreakers by Aja Gabel. And I'm currently on page 104 of this. And I am enjoying this book. It's speculative fiction. It's about a couple who, this is hard to describe. So it's about Maya and Noah. They're married. It's Noah's second marriage. They had just gotten moved to the desert where Noah is going to work on this top secret project. Maya's an artist, and the project is about kind of being able to go to your past memories and live in them. And Noah lost a young child in his first marriage. His child was 3 years old when she died. And it's still really hard for him, obviously. That's kind of grief you don't get over. And Maya at the moment is sort of ready to have a baby and Noah's not. And so Maya is now sort of stepping back into her past, not scientifically, but by revisiting an old lover who she hasn't kind of completely gotten over, and she's just been talking to him. I'm enjoying this. The only reason I have started another book is because the subject matter of this is pretty heavy. And so I don't always want to get into this book when I'm reading it. Obviously, I knew when I bought it. A lot of it's about the death of a child. That's really hard for me to read. I will finish this book, but it is kind of slow going because I'm not flying through it because the subject matter is heavy. Next book I'm in the middle of. I just started this yesterday because I didn't want to read The Lightbreakers before bed, and obviously I couldn't read The Witch and the Tsar anymore. Can't break promise to my daughter. So I started Where He Left Me by Nicole Bart. I think I'm only on page 55. Let's see. Yeah, I'm on page 55. But I'm really liking this so far, and I do think that I'm going to read quite a bit of this tonight. And then obviously tomorrow and the next day I'm going to take time off and let myself just read and enjoy reading. This is about a couple who have been married for, I think, 2 years or maybe they've only known each other for 2 years, but it's Sadie and Felix. And you're jumping between time right now. In the present, Sadie is waiting at this cabin in the Cascade Mountains for her husband. It's his like childhood family cabin, and he is late. He is a day late, and she can't find him. He's not answering his phone. He's not answering his texts. She called the airline. He got on the plane and got off the plane, and so she knows he landed. She knows he didn't miss his flight. She's called all the local hospitals. They don't have him. She's put out a missing persons report, but no one can find him. And there's a woman that she's friends with who's in the town nearby who's kind of like, that's just his family. And Sadie doesn't really know his family. She hasn't known him that long, and they don't talk about their parents. The first night that Felix was gone, Sadie looked at one of their trail cams and she saw 2 men watching the house. So she's getting real freaked out. So right now, I'm a little mad at Sadie because her friend from town, Cleo, basically was like, come sleep at my house until Felix gets back. And she's like, no, I want to be home in case he gets here. And I didn't like that because her friend was like, he'll call you. She's like, no, I want to see him. And I'm like, lady, don't stay in your creepy house in the mountains when there's men watching it and you're by yourself. So I'm sure I'm about to have something crazy happen. That's why I did put the book down there at that point last night, because it was already like 11:45. I'm like, I feel like this is going to get uneasy real fast. So we're just going to take a break there. But I do think this is going to be a fast read, and I'll probably finish it in the next couple days. 2 more books, but these are kind of interesting. This one in particular I wanted to talk about because I didn't put it on my November TBR because I requested it through Interlibrary Loan and wasn't sure if it was going to get here in time. But it's a Christmas book that I really loved reading many years ago, and I wanted to reread and see if I still felt the same way. And it's Christmas Remembered by Tomie dePaola. This is an interesting book. So it's a collection of short stories that Tomie dePaola has illustrated. Now, I am a children's librarian, but if you were a kid in the 80s and 90s, especially if you went to Catholic school, you probably read a Tomie dePaola book. He wrote Strike a Nona, he wrote The Legend of Blue Bonnet. I feel like most of my childhood, I had a Tomie dePaola book being read to me out loud. And I really love his specific style of art. It's just so comforting and friendly to me, probably because it reminds me of being a kid. But I read this book when I worked at the indie bookstore. I worked in the children's department, and this came in, and we used to review a favorite Christmas book. Yeah, this came out in 2006 each year, because we would do this big newsletter for like all the holiday books. And when this came in, I was like, oh, that looks kind of perfect, because it's a book for all ages is what he calls it. So it's like not just a children's book. You can obviously read it and enjoy it as an adult. And he just goes through all his Christmases. So I'm only on, I think, his 3rd or 4th Christmas that he can remember. And so the first one is called The Miraculous Christmas Fireplace. The second one is called A Fairmount Avenue Christmas. Then A Post-War Christmas. And this is the one I just finished reading. The First Television Christmas, which was really cute, about the first year his family had a television, because he was born in, let's see if it says. Oh, it doesn't say when he was born, but he said in here when he was born. It's in the 30s. Yeah, so his first Christmas is his age 3, and it's in the 1930s. So 1937, he was 3 years old. So he was born in 1934. So it's really fun to read these Christmases of past. And they're very cozy and they're very beautiful. I'm really enjoying rereading this. So I'm going to read this slow. I'm probably not going to finish this one until mid-December, but I'll probably read a couple more before the end of the month. And then lastly, I just had to put this one in here because I am reading it right now, and I don't talk a lot about these books on this channel because it's not really the vibe of the channel, but I read a lot of interior design books. I love interior design. I'm constantly thinking of how I could actually make my house look more like cohesive and decorated, which it's going. I've had paint samples painted on these walls for like 3 years now, different colors. I might paint this room. But I really love design books, and I think the best thing you can do is you can get them from your library, because design books are extremely expensive. But obviously they're free from your library, and you can get some really good ones. So I was just at the library picking up Christmas Remembered, and they have like a new arrivals section, and I was just perusing the nonfiction new arrivals because I didn't have a ton of time. I wasn't going to go look through the interior design section or any of the other sections in the library. But they had this book called The Harmonious Home by Rebecca Atwood, and I just kind of liked the cover. I liked the color scheme. I liked sort of the earthy tones. That's like kind of how I like want my house to feel. That's why I got to get rid of the purple. But this book ended up being so cool. So how she has it divided is that each chapter is a different like vibe in nature and how you can decorate around it. Oh my God. So let me just, sorry, I'm going to wax poetically about this book for a little while. So the first she has is dunes, sand, shore. Next is ocean, sea, water. Next is field, meadow, grass. Then forest, trees, canopy. Then garden, flowers, park. Then city, sidewalks, intersection, and history. And right now, I'm going to go back and read it because I literally, one night this week, started going through this book and was like, oh my God, I love it. But it was so late. I think it was Saturday night, but Saturday this weekend was crazy. We had my twins turned 8, and we had like 15 8-year-olds, 7 and 8-year-olds over to our house Friday night for their birthday party. 12 girls cried, including both my twins. And then Saturday was their actual birthday. And so I was really tired. But so I just started reading through this, and I want to go back and go through each of them. But the thing I found most interesting is when I read the chapters, I definitely thought that my favorite would be forest, trees, canopy, or garden, flowers, park. But I actually love field, meadow, grass. So I'm going to go through them again. I want my kids to look at it. It's just such a cool way to sort of classify design and to think about bringing nature inside. It's so fun. It's so beautiful. Though I did love this shot so much. God, what would I give to have that kind of view? The funny thing is the old house we lived in a townhouse in Chicago, and we had crazy windows like that were so beautiful, but like it was on like the first floor in Chicago. Like we kept our shades closed all the time because there's like no privacy. So that's my really quick check-in. I'm not going to make this a long video. Hopefully all of these books, with the exception of this one, because I am going to make that stretch through December, will be on my November wrap-up. If you've read any of these and you want to talk about them in the comments, please do so. And as always, I hope you're in the middle of a good book, about to start reading a good book, or about to start writing a great book. I'll see you soon.